Welcome back to another Sunday School Bible class. Today our lesson is entitled Elisha. After the nation of Israel split into two separate kingdoms, the kingdom of Israel to the north and the kingdom of Judah to the south, the kingdom of Israel to the north was led into idolatry from its very start by the evil king Jeroboam, and then years later from that wicked king Ahab and his wicked pagan wife Jezebel. God sent the prophet Elijah to this northern kingdom of Israel with very powerful demonstrations to get the people back to worshiping the one true God. Elijah was told by God to call a man named Elisha to take Elijah's place before Elijah was taken to heaven. When Elijah was taken to heaven, Elisha saw it and received a double portion of Elijah's spirit. Many of the other prophets knew that Elisha had Elijah's spirit, so Elisha now had the job of letting people know there was only one true God. While staying at a certain city in Israel, the people came to Elisha because the water was bitter and they could not drink it. Elisha cast salt into the water and proclaimed that God healed the waters, and sure enough, the people could drink the water. One woman came to Elisha and told him that her husband, who was a godly man, had died, and she was afraid that the authorities would come and take her two sons away because she had no money to pay her bills. Elisha asked her, "What do you have in your house?" She said, "I have nothing but a pot of oil." Elisha told her to go out all around the neighborhood and borrow as many empty vessels as she could from her neighbors. Then go into her house, shut the door, and with her sons in the house begin to pour the little oil that she had into the empty vessels that she had just borrowed. The woman went all around the neighborhood, borrowed as many vessels as she could, came into her house with her vessels, and began to pour the little oil that she had into the first vessel and filled it with oil. She then began to pour the little oil that she had left into the second vessel, and that vessel filled with oil. As she kept on doing this, she kept on asking her son for the next empty vessel. Finally, she asked him for another empty vessel, and he said there were no more empty vessels. She had filled all the empty vessels with oil, and she still had more oil. Then she asked Elisha what to do. Elisha told her to sell all the oil, which was worth a lot of money, and pay her debt, and then her and her sons were free. Thus Elisha saved the woman and her sons by helping them because they were not able to help themselves in this situation. As Elisha traveled throughout the kingdom of Israel, a husband and wife would offer him hospitality and even built a little room for him so he would have a place to stay. The couple was childless, and Elisha prophesied that they would have a son, and sure enough, the woman gave birth to a son the next year. However, many years later, the child died, and just like Elijah, Elisha prayed for the child and brought the child back to life. As the kingdom of Israel continued to sin, God allowed the Syrians to attack and even capture some of the Israelites as slaves. A Syrian captain from another nation named Naaman had captured a young Israelite girl, and she would serve Naaman and his wife. Naaman had a disease called leprosy, which was a very bad skin disease that could not be cured. The little Israelite servant girl, who cared about Naaman and had faith in the God of Israel, mentioned that Elisha the prophet could heal the leprosy. When Naaman went to Elisha's house with all of his soldiers, Elisha had been told he was coming and sent his servant to tell Naaman to dip himself in the Jordan River 7 times and he would be healed. Naaman got very angry because he thought that Elisha would come out of his house and pray for Naaman in front of all his soldiers because he was a captain of his army. Naaman was about to go away in a rage and not obey the word of Elisha. One of Naaman's soldiers respectfully reasoned with Naaman, asking him to obey the simple command of the prophet. When Naaman obeyed by dunking himself 7 times in the Jordan River, Naaman was healed. He was so grateful that he wanted to give the prophet Elisha a gift of money and garments. But Elisha refused because he wanted Naaman to know God does not do miracles for money, but he does them because he cares about people. However, Elisha's greedy servant named Gehazi wanted the money and the garments for himself. So he sneaked out from Elisha, ran after Naaman, and lied to him, saying that Elisha now needed the money and garments. Naaman gave them to Gehazi, who took them back to Elisha's house, but hid the items outside, thinking that Elisha would not know. However, God told Elisha what Gehazi did and how he lied to Naaman. When Elisha asked Gehazi where he went, Gehazi lied to Elisha. Then Elisha told Gehazi what he did and said God therefore punished him by giving him the leprosy that Naaman had. So Gehazi became a leper. Elisha did many more miracles to help many people in the kingdom of Israel. Yet, despite all these miracles, the kings and the people of Israel continued to sin. Eventually, Elisha died, but God kept sending more prophets to the kingdom of Israel to try to get them to repent. God warned them through these prophets that if they did not repent, He was going to punish them by letting another nation come in their kingdom, conquer and scatter them, so that they would have no country of their own anymore. So, we learn from the history of Israel that although many people see miracles, they still refuse to obey and worship God. We also learn that although God does have a lot of patience with people who sin, eventually He will punish those who do not repent. However, there were people who did repent and followed God with all their heart, and we will learn about these people as well in our future lessons. See you next time. Bye-bye.